The big financial crisis, almost 500,000 of people left. They went to other countries, mostly around Europe and in the States, and they created their families there.
Amid growing public unrest in Greece, the government there is temporarily halting the construction of permanent detention centers for people seeking asylum who are flocking to the country.
I want to turn to Greece now, where the government is facing mounting pressure over a phone tapping scandal. It's alleged that the spyware software called Predator was planted on people's mobile phones, including journalists and the leader of an opposition party.
These Athens residents are mourning the death of their neighborhood.
Despite being known for its ancient history, crystal clear waters, and the Olympic Games, living in Greece is much more challenging than you might think. Skyrocketing costs, rising poverty affecting 1 in 4 locals, and a growing housing crisis are pushing many Greeks to seek better opportunities abroad. Although it has a relatively high GDP per capita, Greece lags behind the average of developed countries, leaving residents increasingly trapped in a risky economic situation. Property prices in Greece have been rising, especially in popular areas, making home ownership more expensive than it has ever been. Areas like Athens and Thessaloniki have seen significant price jumps, particularly driven by increased demand from foreign investors seeking golden visas. According to the Bank of Greece, property prices in Athens rose by 7.7% in 2024, while prices in Thessaloniki rose by 12%. Combine this with the fact that unemployment is way higher here compared to the European Union average, crime, violence, and vandalism are on the rise, public trust in politics is dipping lower and lower each year, and the country's geographical location makes it a prime gateway for migrants and refugees entering Europe, and it's fair to say that Greece is facing huge challenges. Challenges that are starting to feel impossible to overcome. So today on Across the Globe, we'll be looking at the obstacles Greece is facing and why many are starting to wonder, is Greece still a place to call home?
Tens of thousands of migrants and refugees have been stranded in Greece for more than 4 years.
Greece is hardening its approach to migrants, saying it has little choice given a lack of support from the rest of Europe.
Greece has long been a key destination for people fleeing conflict and instability, serving as a main entry point into Europe for many migrants and refugees. With its strategic geographical position along the Aegean Sea, the country has become a crucial stop for individuals coming from the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. Greek authorities estimate that up to 90% of illegal immigrants entering the EU do so through Greece, highlighting the seriousness of the ongoing crisis. As Syrian refugees and migrants from Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan flood into Greek island camps and urban centers like Athens and Thessaloniki, the sheer volume of newcomers has begun to strain public resources. Concerns really mounted in 2023 when the number of illegal immigrants arriving rose to 31,000 within a year, up from 18,000 for all of 2022. According to VOA News, while nearly 680,000 migrants have been legalized since 2021, around 60,000 migrants remain in the country illegally. As tensions grow over the government's response, the issue isn't just about how refugees are treated, but also about the ability of a system that seems unable to support both newcomers and longtime residents, leading to a sharp decline in public trust. In 2020, Pew Research Center reported that following a survey, an overwhelming majority of Greeks, 92%, said they disapprove of the way the EU had been handling the refugee issue. This survey was conducted following the surge of migrants making their way into the country through neighboring Turkey, when President Recep Tayyip Erdogan opened the doors for their passage into Greece. The economic impact of immigration on Greece is complicated, especially given the country's ongoing economic crisis. Many migrants and refugees arriving on Greek shores face tough challenges, as high unemployment, especially among young people, makes it hard to find stable jobs. The labor market dynamics in Greece reveal significant disparities between migrants and native workers. Between 9 and 11% of the registered Greek labor force of 4.4 million are foreigners. Migrants additionally make up 25% of wage and salary earners. By the third quarter of 2023, the labor force participation rate for foreigners reached 69.4%, compared to just 51.2% for Greek nationals. This situation is further complicated by the fact that Greece's economy has been struggling to recover since the fiscal crisis of the 2010s, leading to limited job opportunities for both locals and newcomers alike. The influx of migrants has intensified competition for jobs, housing, and public services, creating a strain on resources that already feel stretched thin. Housing shortages have become one of the most pressing issues, driving up competition for affordable homes and amplifying the struggles of low-income Greeks trying to secure stable housing. In March 2024, Greek City Times reported that homeownership is declining in Greece. They highlighted how, following the country's prolonged financial troubles, there has been a major shift in the housing market, with a significant rise in institutional and foreign ownership of residential properties. According to reports from the Hellenic Statistical Authority, Elstat, and Eurostat, Greece's home ownership rate saw a substantial drop from 84.6% in 2005 to 73.3% in 2021. In major urban centers like Athens and Thessaloniki, home ownership rates have plummeted even further, hovering around 60 to 65%. Throughout 2022, the per square meter cost in Greece saw an approximate 8 to 10% increase. By 2024, house prices were only 4% below the highest point ever recorded in the third quarter of 2008. As resources shrink, both migrants and locals compete for the same limited housing, creating a tense environment that can lead to social conflict. This competition leaves many feeling overlooked and struggling to meet their basic needs, whether they are Greeks or newcomers. So why do people keep coming here? And why are people still staying if things are getting so bad? Greece has always been known for its scenery, Mediterranean lifestyle, and ancient history. For years, it has attracted tourists, retirees, and expats with its culture, food, art, and outdoor activities. The islands, with their white buildings and clear waters, are particularly popular. But for many locals, living even a simple life in Greece is becoming harder to afford. So outside of immigration issues, what else has gone so drastically wrong? Here's why there is so much more to the problem than you may think. The current housing market in Greece presents a troubling situation for residents, especially in popular urban centers like Athens and places like Santorini. Once considered affordable, these areas have seen soaring rent prices that are pushing locals out of their own neighborhoods. In Athens, for instance, rents have increased by over 40% in just the last 5 years, making it nearly impossible for young Greeks to remain in their own capital. In November 2023, the Business Times reported that home prices in Athens were rising faster than in most other European cities. Prices in the Greek capital went up by 12.2%. Nearly 3 times more than in Stockholm. And unlike cities such as Paris, where prices were falling, by 2024, people were truly fed up. Thousands of people took to the streets in Athens and other Greek cities as a 24-hour general strike to protest against the rising cost of living. The situation is even more dire in the broader Attica region, where rents have skyrocketed by up to 100% over the past 8 years, straining both low-income and middle-class households to their limits. The National Herald highlights how this housing crisis is intensified by a severe shortage of available rental units, which has prompted many landlords to shift their properties to short-term rentals, particularly for tourists. This trend not only limits the options for potential long-term tenants, but also contributes to rapidly rising rents, effectively locking many locals out of the housing market altogether. Furthermore, the impact of tourism and foreign investment has significantly inflated the housing market in Greece, dramatically increasing the challenges faced by locals. As international buyers flock to the country, driven by the allure of its diverse scenery and potential for profitable rentals, property prices have surged beyond the means of many Greek residents. Investors from abroad often possess greater financial resources, allowing them to outbid local buyers and secure properties that would have previously been attainable. This influx of foreign capital not only drives up housing prices, but also steers the market towards short-term rentals catered to tourists, thereby diminishing the availability of affordable long-term housing for residents.
Many middle-class Israeli families coming to take a studio and make it an Airbnb. This is part of the golden visa. If you invest 250,000 euros in properties in Greece, you have this EU residence permit that could lead into a citizenship.
As Greece continues to attract investment from countries like Israel and Turkey, some call this economic progress, while others call it a silent invasion, leading to further tensions. Some might argue that this kind of investment is needed for Greece's continuous battle for economic recovery. However, is it even working? Because the truth of the matter is, Greece is still facing a major cost of living crisis.
We want working conditions to improve now, collective bargaining leading to real pay rises with bonuses. Every year the government offers us a pittance. This month, for instance, we got a pay rise of 60 cents an hour. That's peanuts compared to the rising cost of living.
Greece's economic recovery post-crisis has been a slow and taxing journey. And unfortunately, the cost of living has continued to rise relentlessly. In 2024, the Hellenic Statistical Authority, Elstat, reported that 26.9% of the Greek population, or 2,740,051 people, were at risk of poverty or social exclusion. This is an increase of 0.8 percentage points compared to 2023, when 26.1% of the population were at risk. Everyday essentials like food, gas, and utilities have spiked, placing an additional burden on ordinary Greeks who are already navigating a challenging financial environment. Between 2021 and 2024 alone, food prices in Greece jumped by 28.5%, averaging a 9.5% annual increase. The soaring costs of living are squeezing household budgets, forcing families to make difficult choices about what they can afford. According to RP Realty, half of private sector workers in Greece earn less than 1,000 euros gross, 820 euros net, and 70% earn under 1,200 euros gross, 950 euros net. And finding an apartment for 600 euros is considered pure luck. What's more, a 2024 study by the nationwide eReal Estates network paints a grim picture of rental availability in Athens and its surrounding areas. In central Athens, only 6.4% of properties suitable for families are available for 600 euros or less. And for those hoping to buy a home, most of them can think again. According to Prototherma, the percentage of homeownership has dropped from 84.6% to 61% over the past 2 decades. They noted how over 75% of those aged 50 and older continue to own their homes, but only 30% of young people do, and the rest rely on renting. So with all of this in mind, is it any wonder that many young Greeks are choosing to leave the country? While immigration has undeniably introduced competition for housing, jobs, and social services in Greece, it is also intertwined with the country's broader demographic and economic challenges that are prompting young Greeks to seek opportunities abroad. Many young people feel increasingly voiceless in their own homeland, believing that they lack the ability to thrive in an environment where resources are stretched thin and economic prospects seem bare. Between 2010 and 2022, approximately 1.08 million working-age individuals left Greece, with a troubling 234,058 of those aged 15 to 24. This exodus represents a significant brain drain, stripping the country of some of its most talented and ambitious youth just as it struggles to recover from years of economic turmoil. These young people, often highly educated and skilled, are departing in search of better job prospects and improved living conditions elsewhere in Europe and beyond, leaving Greece at risk of losing the very talent needed to drive future growth and innovation. The dual pressures of an increasing immigrant population and a declining native workforce create a complex and challenging environment. As young Greeks leave in pursuit of opportunities, they amplify the demographic deficit, making it even harder for the remaining population to foster a sustainable economy. But is there something else they are running from? In 2024, Tovima reported that a bevy of recent major crimes has rocked Greece, raising deep concerns about public safety and the impact of rising criminal activities. They noted how the influx of offenders from Balkan nations, coupled with the unchecked actions of local and foreign thugs, has created an atmosphere where crime seems to be spiraling out of control. Recent data reveals a troubling spike in criminal activities, with cases of theft and burglary soaring to approximately 62,000 nationwide, up from 56,000 in 2022. This surge in crime has made certain areas increasingly unsafe, affecting both locals and tourists. For many Greeks, crime has become a daily concern. In some neighborhoods, locals are hesitant to walk alone at night, wary of becoming victims in an environment that feels increasingly unpredictable. Tourists, who once flocked to Greece for its beauty and culture, are now increasingly targeted by criminals, impacting the nation's reputation as a safe travel destination. According to Gov.uk, as well as pickpocketing and mugging being rife in certain parts of Greece, terrorists are likely to try to carry out attacks in the country. They noted how attacks could be indiscriminate, including in places visited by foreign nationals. They added that there have been several attacks involving explosives and automatic weapons against Greek institutions, shopping malls, banks, media offices, diplomatic premises, and the police. This rising crime rate and unease not only instills fear in residents, but also poses significant challenges for local businesses and tourism-dependent economies. So in a country that is truly struggling, what's next? Can it recover? In response to the many challenges the country faces, the Greek government and various organizations are working to stabilize the housing market, reduce poverty, and improve public safety. However, recovery is still a slow and difficult process. While initiatives are being developed to address issues like the housing crisis and unemployment, it is clear that significant reform is necessary for meaningful progress. As the country grapples with ongoing economic struggles, questions linger about its future viability. Is there hope for Greece's future? Will it be able to overcome its housing and economic crisis? Or will it continue to see its best and brightest leave in search of better opportunities? From unaffordable housing to rising crime and economic hardships, it's clear that life in Greece is increasingly difficult for those who call it home. However, Greece has already proven to be a resilient country that has the ability to bounce back. But the question is, can it do it again? Only time will tell. What about why living in the US gets worse every year?